Having confident sales conversation is an issue for you? Stay tuned to this episode because I'm talking with Jessica Hetherington on how to be bold while selling your products and services. Fall in love with selling as you acquire the right mindset, selling style, and sales process that helps you take your business solution to more prospects, potential clients, and the world at large. If you are a women entrepreneur who is looking to get more sales, scale, and sustainability in your business, you have reached the right place. I'm Roshni Baronia, your host for the show Ace the Sales, which is all about helping you bring your authentic and influential self to each sales conversation. One of the greatest powers of social media lies in connecting people across the world. And the guest I have today on my show is because of this worldwide connection. Last month, I was speaking at the International Success Driven Solopreneur Summit, which, by the way, was an amazing experience for me because I got connected to 29 fellow speakers who were amazing in their expertise and the value they created through their strategies and tools, because it helps women entrepreneurs and solopreneurs to advance in their businesses. And one of the fellow speakers was nice enough to connect me with Jessica Hetherington because we both are in the same domain of sales coaching and consulting. And when I got connected with her, it was a perfect opportunity for us to collaborate for this podcast and talk to you about something which is of so high relevance for every women entrepreneur. Because facing those limiting beliefs, facing those fears, and facing those inhibitions in sales conversations is true for a lot of women entrepreneurs. And that is exactly what we are talking to Jessica about in this episode. Jessica is a sales and self-worth coach who helps women entrepreneurs build their bank account and confidence and create objection-proof businesses. Jessica believes that if you are not taking action to grow your business, it is not because you are a perfectionist or a procrastinator. It is because you are fearful. And as a sales coach, she helps mission-driven entrepreneurs kill this fear and bring in confidence while selling. But before we go further into talking with Jessica, just a reminder to subscribe to this podcast so that you do not miss out on the amazing episodes I put out for you each fortnight. And yes, if you find any takeaway or an aha moment from this episode, do share it as a review or a comment on Apple iTunes or on the link mentioned in the show notes. And you might just get lucky because this month I am giving away 10 Amazon gift cards to people who are sending in their reviews for the podcast. So you might be the lucky one, so remember to give in your comment. You can also show us some love by following Jessica and myself on Instagram and sharing the screenshot of this episode and tagging both of us there. So let's dive into the conversation with Jessica Hetherington. Hello and welcome, Jessica. I am so happy to have you here.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yes, me too. Let's start from the start of your career as a sales coach. How did you get into this and what's your story of falling in love with selling?
Okay. I love this question. So I had my first business in 2007. I actually used to be in the fitness industry and I was a personal trainer and I worked for a company. And I immediately, when I started working for this big gym, immediately started making $10,000, $12,000 months. And I was young. I was like 23 or something. And I really, there was no social media back then. There was kind of, it was the beginnings of it, but it wasn't much. And I just worked with what was in front of me, but I learned how to sell because the environment was 100% commissions. And I learned wow, selling's actually easy when you're in love with what you're selling and you don't be weird about it. And it just showed me like you have to stand behind your product, be genuinely excited about what you're selling, and ask for the sale. Like, and it was just like, I love it. I'm meant to do this.
Right.
So I worked in the fitness industry for a while. Worked for a yoga clothing company called Lululemon. I'm sure people listening to this know them, and they're all about personal development. And then I got my coach's certification and decided to help people start their own businesses. And I noticed that sales for entrepreneurs, especially females, is like a really tough topic. And I'm good at it. So I'm like, all right, this is what I want to focus on.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. That's interesting that you identified something which is a very big problem for women, especially, and you thought of tackling that. Wonderful. And I also know that you talk a lot about being confident in sales. So, why do you think this confidence factor is so important in sales?
Well, I think the biggest sale you'll ever make is the one you make with yourself, right? Like if you're not sold on yourself and you don't stand behind yourself confidently and are like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, are you interested or not? You know, that kind of confidence is contagious to your customer. They want you to be confident. They want you to be confident that you're going to be able to solve their problem, right? So, and I think it's an issue for a lot of women because maybe we're taught to be humble and to not be too much and, you know, all these things that we're taught as like little girls, that makes us feel like we're doing something wrong selling.
So true, so true. I think the social conditioning, what women have been taught from their childhood, has a deep impact on what they do when they are business owners or how they behave when they have to go out there and sell their product and services. And that social conditioning and that subconscious constraints do linger on in the sales conversations as well.
Absolutely. That's so, so true.
Yes.
And honestly, so much of the work I do with clients is what you just said. It's like identifying why you feel bad about it or like you're doing something wrong, because you and I both know, first of all, if you don't sell, you don't have a business. You have a hobby, an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
And second of all, if you deep down feel like you're doing something wrong by selling, you know you're not going to be selling as much as you should. I mean, because you feel like you're doing something wrong. So therefore you don't do it. Mm-hmm. So we have to get to the root of the issue first, and then your actions will change after.
Right. So you work with so many women entrepreneurs. Any specific challenges you see when you work with women specifically in the context of sales?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same for everybody. Everyone's afraid of what other people are going to think of them. Like at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to is two things. One, not feeling like you're not good enough to be worth the money or to charge the price that you're charging. Like, you know, there's some voice that says, you know, you're not good enough to be doing this. Who should listen to you? Why would they want to pay you that money? You know, your inner critic. Right. And then the other thing your inner critic will say to you is, well, what will they think of me? Will they think that I'm just in it for the money? Will they think that I'm a salesperson? What will they think? Right? Everybody's like, it's the people pleasing thing. So that is across the board. I don't know that I've had one client who hasn't dealt with that. I have never had a client that hasn't dealt with that on some level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we are so fearful about the judgments of other people, what they will think of us.
Totally.
Yes.
You won't ever reach your potential in your business if you let that rule what you do on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with you. Yes. And I also know that you talk a lot about tapping into and leveraging your natural selling style. So I'm curious to know, share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think that some people are, you know, more, I don't know, out there. Like like me, like I love to be on video. I love to go up and talk to strangers, like things like that don't bother me. So like, that's my natural selling style, right? It's very extroverted. But you don't have to be that way, right? Like, I think everybody has some way that makes them comfortable. Like, that's one of the things I do with clients. It's like, you don't have to be exactly like me. You don't have to do things exactly like me in my business. This is just kind of my strength. So it's about identifying like, what are yours? Like, I actually have a lot of clients who are introverts. I think introverts like to be my client because I'm the opposite.
That's a good take.
Yeah, I think I attract a lot of introverts. And I mean, we find all kinds of different ways for them to sell. Like, it could be on one-on-one calls. They may prefer to just do calls rather than show up on video all the time, you know? So it's really, when I say selling style, I mean like your strategy, your selling strategy. Does that make sense?
True. Absolutely so true. One has to tap into their authentic selling style. Like you said that you are an extrovert and it's so easy for you to get on videos. But for me, it is like a huge challenge. My content strategist keeps pushing me that please do videos, please come on stories and show up on videos. But somehow I don't feel comfortable doing so many videos. So yeah, but then you have to really tap into what you feel comfortable with, what you feel authentic in, and that's when you are able to connect with your customer and the prospect who is sitting in front of you. So yeah, that's
Totally.
why selling style, tapping into it is very, very important.
Totally.
So Jessica, can you give some tips on how women entrepreneurs, how our listeners can gain confidence in selling?
Yeah. So I think this is the most important question that you can ask yourself. And this goes for really anything in life and anything in business, is what is the worst that can happen? So, you know, we're all afraid of something, right? We're afraid that somebody's going to say no. Nobody likes to be told no, right? Like,
Right.
Come on. Nobody likes what you think is rejection. Everybody, you're not alone in the fact that that makes you uncomfortable. To whoever's listening, it makes everyone uncomfortable, you know?
Yes.
So I think that asking yourself, like, what is the absolute worst thing that could happen? And when you frame things that way, it's like, oh, okay, like this person could just say no to me. It's not that big of a deal in this grand scheme of life. I am going to survive and be fine. And just asking yourself that question first, like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? And then weighing it against, what if I don't do anything? If you don't do anything, you have first of all, you're never going to build confidence, right? Confidence is built through taking action. Even if you got a no, you still just built a little confidence boost because you went out there and you tried, you know? So you have to try. So what's the worst thing that could happen? And what will I not get if I don't do this? Those are just like getting really real questions with yourself. Because you're always going to survive. And it's about trusting yourself too. Like trusting yourself, like, okay, I'm going to put myself out there. No matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. I'm always okay. I fully trust myself and my actions. So I don't know if you were looking for more like strategic stuff, but really sales comes down to mindset. And I'll never stop talking about that. Like, it really is such a mindset thing. Because if you don't have your mindset in place, no strategy, like you literally just said, like your content person has given you a strategy for video, right? And you're working on the mindset piece of that. So you're not doing the strategy. So I'm such a believer in addressing your mindset first. First and simultaneously with your actual strategy. Another tip I would give is, I think that entrepreneurs, business owners underestimate how often you need to ask for the sale.
True.
So often I hear from clients like, oh, I just put out my offer and no one bid at it. One time. They post about it one time. And I'm like, listen, that's not how it works. there are so many times that I'll post about something and say, hey, sign up for this. And I don't get a bite on the first post. Like, it's normal. So I think that people have kind of unrealistic expectations. So I hope that whoever's listening to this, it's like people need multiple touch points with you to actually sign up for things a lot of the time, especially if you're just starting out, And another thing that works the very best thing, in my opinion, in sales is personal outreach. Like no sales funnel, no Facebook ad, no nothing is ever going to be more effective than you reaching out to somebody and asking them, how's it going? What are you working on? And building relationships.
Absolutely. That's so true. And I love all the points that you have mentioned. Don't have unrealistic expectations, and no matter what, I'm going to be okay. So
yes.
People are so reclusive and they do not take action, again, like you mentioned earlier, because of the judgments of others. But just saying to yourself that no matter what, I'm going to be okay, it's truly empowering. That's
so much
wonderful. Right? That's wonderful. Thanks for giving those tips, Jessica. I'm sure the solopreneurs and the listeners who are listening to this episode will definitely revisit their attitude and their mindset towards selling. And when they will ask these 3 things to themselves, they will definitely move an inch forward towards gaining that confidence in sales. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. And I'm so happy to come on here and talk. And yes, I love this topic. And I want all women to feel empowered and excited about having a business and financial freedom. And you have to sell to get it. So I hope it was super helpful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Jessica, just to sign off, where can listeners find you? What is the best way to reach out to you?
So I actually would invite you guys, on Instagram. I love Instagram. It's Jessica Hetherington Coaching. And if you're on Facebook, I have a Facebook group called Be Bold. My company is actually called Be Bold. And it's an amazing group of other, driven business women. And I give a lot of free trainings in there on sales, on marketing, on branding, on all this mindset stuff. So I would love to see you guys there.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And I will mention these links in the show notes as well, so people can definitely connect with you on Instagram.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being here, Jessica.
Okay. Thanks so much, Rashni. Have a wonderful day or night. I don't know what time it is by you.
Yeah, it's morning.
Oh, it's morning. Okay. It's night here. So have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay. Bye.